Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. This bulletin is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Coming up this evening, Ghana begins diplomatic engagement to ascertain the circumstances surrounding the arrest and detention of the Member of Parliament for Asante North in the Netherlands. We have details in a moment. Also coming up, the National Identification Authority workers begin full withdrawal of services from Thursday after failed talks over conditions of service. And later in the bulletin, the Institute of Economic Affairs advocates the nationalization of mines in Ghana, urging government not to extend the Takwa mines concession to gold fields. Details of all of these plus business and sports at the tail end of the show, which is for the next 1 hour. Before that, though, let's bring you the news summaries with Nura Mohammed. Hello, Nura.
Hello, Martin. First in the news summaries, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Senior High School, KNUST SHS in Kumasi, has confirmed the death of one of its candidates following a brief illness during the ongoing West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASI. Management of the school said it is mourning with the bereaved family while ensuring that the remaining candidates are provided with the necessary support and a conducive environment to continue their examinations. Meanwhile, the Institute of Economic Affairs has intensified calls for Ghana to prioritize local ownership of its natural resources, opposing any renewal of gold fields lease for the Takwa mines as it nears expiration in 2027. Speaking at a press conference in Accra, former Chief Justice and Fellow of the IEA, Sophia Akufu, backed calls for greater Ghanaian participation in the management of the country's mineral resources, stressing the need for national control over strategic assets. Meanwhile, President John Dramani Mahama has announced that the government will no longer grant automatic tax exemptions on imported medical equipment, saying all future requests will be assessed on a case-by-case basis. He made the declaration on Wednesday, May 13, 2026, at the commissioning of a positron emission tomography, computed tomography PET-CT scan facility at the Sweden-Ghana Medical Center in Accra after operators of the facility appealed for tax concessions. And finally, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority DVLA has deployed clone detection machines aimed at strengthening vehicle verification and protecting the integrity of Ghana's vehicle registration system. In a public notice issued on May 13, 2026, the DVLA announced that the newly introduced devices known as OBD2 scanners will help identify vehicles imported through unapproved channels that illegally cloned vehicle identification numbers of legitimately registered vehicles. That'll be all for the summaries. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Nura. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. We're starting from that news that broke a few days ago. In fact, just around yesterday in the late afternoon, where we had started getting reports of the Member of Parliament who's been arrested in Amsterdam, the capital of the Netherlands. And the information is that Ghana has begun diplomatic engagements to ascertain the circumstances surrounding the arrest and detention of the Member of Parliament for the Asante North constituency. He was arrested in the Netherlands. Ohene Kwame Frimpong was reportedly arrested on Sunday at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport while in transit. Details surrounding the arrest remain unclear, although several reports have linked the development to an international law enforcement operation involving Interpol and the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is the FBI. Parliament, in a brief statement issued on Tuesday, confirmed it is aware of the Member of Parliament's detention in the capital of the Netherlands. So what exactly is the reason why he has been picked up or was stopped from traveling, and what are the specific details that are coming up yet? We are uncertain ourselves, so we'll try and get some information. And you know that in Parliament, he has decided to caucus with the majority side. So the Majority Chief Whip, Roxy Nelson Dapamekwa, will be joining us shortly to give us an idea what they know or what information they have regarding the arrest of this MP in the Netherlands. Also, what are the diplomatic steps being taken at the moment? You know that in Ghana, members of parliament have diplomatic immunity, and if so, how far-reaching are these immunities? And if a member of parliament is arrested elsewhere, what are the immediate steps that the state can take, or parliament for that matter can take, to ensure that he is given the necessary consular assistance while still following due process in the country of arrest or detention? We'll try and get all those specific details for you in a moment when we link up with our resource persons whom have guaranteed to give us as much information as they know regarding this particular member of parliament who is the MP for Asante North. Andy Appiah-Kubi was the former member of parliament was the member of parliament, and he was ousted by this current MP, who is Ohene Kwame Frimpong. Many call him OK Frimpong. So OK Frimpong ousted and won the elections our last election, which was in 2024. He took out Andy Appiah-Kubi, who himself alluded to a number of allegations as to why he lost that seat. So he said that he believes a number of high powers were behind his defeat. They all were part of those who had asked that this particular individual, OK Frimpong, contest him, and he was given as many resources as possible just so Andy Appiah-Kubi, will be taken out of parliament. Well, coincidentally, it seemed to have happened for him, and now Andy Appiah-Kubi is out of parliament. OK Frimpong is now representing the people of Asante North constituency. So let's now go to the phone lines. Before we find out from Roxanne Nelson Dapamekpo, who is the majority chief whip, let's find out from our correspondent what exactly the reactions of his constituents are. In a moment, we'll be speaking to our correspondent who is at the constituency, talking about William Evans Inkum. He has visited the Asante North constituency. Will be joining us in a moment to help us understand what the constituents make of this development. When we do get him, we'll put a few questions to him. In the meantime, you know that this bulletin is streaming on Facebook, so you want to make a date and join us there. Send us your thoughts and comments. Let us all have a conversation regarding how this particular issue has cropped up and what kinds of assistance will be made available to the member of parliament. Can he be allowed to come back to Ghana while investigations continue in the Netherlands, or they may have to detain him or keep him there and ensure that the investigation runs its full course before he is allowed? And what are the diplomatic options available for him and for Ghana to try and bring back not just any ordinary Ghanaian, but a sitting member of parliament? What are the immunities he enjoys out of the jurisdiction? Those and many more questions are part of the list that we want to put out there to try and get some clarity and understanding, to try and get our correspondents for that. In the meantime, the development, we are told, has sparked concerns among residents of Asante North, many of whom are demanding clarity over the circumstances leading to the arrest of their representative. Despite the uncertainty, some constituents remain optimistic that the MP will soon return home. And when we do get William Evans Inkum on the line, we'll put a few questions to him to get a clearer picture of how the reactions are growing in that area. While we try and do all of that, let's take you to some other stories. Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, is calling on government, parliament, and the general public to resist any attempt to approve the extension of the Takwa Mines concession to Goldfields. The IEA says it is time for government to take full control of mining operations in the country and employ experts to manage the sector on behalf of the state. Speaking to the media, the former Chief Justice Sufai Ekufu said the time has come for Ghana to ensure that its strategic mineral resources deliver maximum value and benefit to Ghanaians by taking ownership of mining operations in the country. Justice Sufai Ekufu did not mince words in describing the contribution of foreign mining companies to Ghana's development as inadequate. Let's listen to what exactly it is that she has been saying in this interview or the program, where she touched on why she believes that Ghanaians should be allowed, or the state must take ownership of all of its mining concessions.
The IEA considers the requested lease renewal or extension, whatever they choose to call it, to be deeply inimical to Ghana's long-term economic and strategic interests, and therefore calls on the government to soundly reject this approach, reject it decisively, while prioritizing a framework that secures meaningful Ghanaian ownership and control of the mines at Tarkwa. Goldfields acquired the Tarkwa mine in 1993. Today, this mine stands as the largest open-pit gold mine in Africa and serves as the flagship operation of the company. The mine reportedly produces approximately 500,000 ounces of gold annually, representing an estimated market value of over $2.3 billion at prevailing global prices. By the company's own admission, its Ghanaian operations account for nearly 25% of Goldfields' global production portfolio. 25%, a quarter. Underscoring the immense strategic importance of the Tarkwa mine to the corporation. The operations of Goldfields in Tarkwa exemplify very, very glaringly the enduring consequences of extractive concession arrangements that overwhelmingly favor foreign investor corporations at the expense of host communities and the national economy.
And that is Madam Sufa Akufu, who is Justice Sufa Akufu, who is a former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, also called for a complete overhaul of Ghana's mining regime, demanding that government takes full advantage and takes over the country's mines.
Ladies and gentlemen, we know the state of our economy. Every regime in Ghana since the NLC, which took power in 1966, has gone to the IMF. So when we are talking about this, it is not the military, it is not the NPP, it's not the NDC, everybody is also inside. The basic factor is the fact that we just don't have enough resources to fulfill our national obligations. Ghana here, and we have said in this room several times, the IEA, that we cannot just beat these people to the game if we don't own our natural resources, and that they will not develop our country for us. In fact, that is not their intention. Merely making profit is what they come for. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are saying that there's a need for a new paradigm way beyond what we have known over the years. We don't have to cancel any contract. The contract has become expired. It is of no effect. The lawyers will say it is odious. It's of no consequence. Should we go tell them we want you to come back for 20 years and then start operating this again? We have to own it. It's already ours. If we don't give it away, it's not gone. If we don't give it away, it's not gone. And we have talked a lot officially about the need to own our natural resources, that and so on and so forth. This is the time to walk the talk. We will respectfully tell our government and all those in authority, including the members of parliament, etc., etc.
And that is Professor Mike Okwe, who is a former Speaker of Parliament. And talking about Parliament, let's take a step back to our earlier story where a current Member of Parliament in the person of OK Frimpong, or Hine Kwame Frimpong, you know that he is currently on detention in the Amsterdam, in the capital of the Netherlands, Amsterdam. And this happened, we are told, over the weekend. And news about Parliament being aware of his detention came public on Tuesday, which was yesterday. So let's find out what the constituents are making of this current development. William Evansinkum is our man following this beat for us. William, thank you for your time. You have been to the constituency. First of all, what's the mood like over there, and what are they talking about?
Well, Martin, so it is disbelief. Somebody that to them has conducted himself very well, over the years. So to them, it is disbelief. They are still in a pool of speculations because every bit or snippet of information that they are getting, it is either on social media or from social media or from the grapevine. So they are still waiting until an official statement is released that is detailing what charges may be preferred against their Member of Parliament. But they are sympathizing with him because they describe him as somebody who is very, very generous. And of course, his works tell very loud as far as that particular constituency is concerned. I had some time engaging the youth. Asante Akim North has a youthful population, or it is a constituency that I will call, a constituency that belongs to the youth. Because if you trace the political history of that particular constituency, it is no doubt the first Member of Parliament in 2012, when it was created, Kojo Bajiman, took the seat on the ticket of the MPP at the age of 37. OK Frimpong, or Hine Kwame Frimpong, snatched the seat from the MPP's candidate, lawyer Apia Kubi, who also snatched it from Kojo Bajiman in 2017. He was 60. OK Frimpong was 38 years when he also snatched the seat from the opposition New Patriotic Party, who have dominated as far as Asante Akim North constituency politics is concerned. So it's a town for the youth, or it's a constituency for the youth, and it is not surprising that we see a number of them expressing worry about the development, Martin.
And, like you indicated, it is all speculation at the moment. Nobody really has any substantial detail to depend on. But what exactly is the feeling like for, we know he's an independent candidate at the moment, so we cannot ask how the party he belongs to is feeling, because we do not know which party he actually does belong to. But beyond the youth, what are the decision makers and opinion leaders in the communities making of his arrest?
They have expressed optimism that someday he will return. And you cannot measure that level of confidence in them. Just last Sunday, I spoke to one of the elderly people or elderly constituents, and she told me that just last Sunday he was in the constituency, celebrated the Mother's Day, shared goodies, to the elderly women, and of course, women in general, if I should put it that way. So every line of the conversation, as I engaged with the constituent, speak about his generosity. And they are very hopeful that he will go through this. They have described it as trial. He will go through it and then come out clean. That is their hope.
come out clean, does that mean there are speculations or they are assuming that he must have committed some kind of crime?
Well, it is interesting to know, Martin, that one constituent that I spoke with was like, he believed that it is his detractors who have plotted all these things against him. So to the ordinary person on the street, he doesn't see it to be, he sees it to be the usual politicking. And, to them, there's nothing like a cry or those things that we'll be hearing on social media. Of course, we are all waiting to hear from, those who are detaining him as to whether there's a crime to answer as far as, he is concerned. But to the ordinary person in the street, they believe that, well, I'm talking about his die-hard supporters. They believe that is one of those political nemesis.
Right. William, thank you so much for your time and thoughts and the information you've brought us from the constituency of the Member of Parliament for Asante North in the Ashanti region, OK Frimpong. And at the moment, we are all, like we are indicating, uncertain of what exactly may be the reason why he is being detained. But let's now go to the phone lines and also speak to Ralph Poku Eduse, who is, I beg your pardon, let's now engage Mr. Jinde, Anani Jinde, who has joined us on the phone for a quick conversation. He is a lecturer at the Gimpa Law School. Mr. Anani Jinde, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. What are your thoughts on how international law works when we are talking about the arrest of individuals of other countries? So if another person from a different country is arrested, what are the formalities like when you're looking at the international law?
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Well, let's get it clear. Nations sign various treaties for various reasons. So, for instance, if in the case of the MP who has been arrested in the Netherlands by agents of the United States of America, normally, security agencies from one state cannot go to one state and effect an arrest, unless, of course, there is a treaty agreement making provision or allowing that action to be taken. So, if the FBI agents are able to go to the Netherlands and then effect that arrest, it means there should be some arrangement by way of treaty arrangement that they are allowed to do that. So if they do that, the provisions of the treaty arrangement will determine whether they can extradite him to the jurisdiction where he is wanted and then prefer those charges. But without a treaty arrangement, no security agencies from another state can just go to another state and effect an arrest. That's the first thing. But you see, Ghana has had an extradition arrangement with the United States since 1932, even before independence. So normally, some of us were expecting that if the Americans had any suspicion about the person who has been allegedly arrested, they could have done that through the already existing arrangements we have with the American government. Recently, some young men were alleged to have stolen some cars, and then the FBI came here and they effected the arrest. I hope you remember that story.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So if that is the case, and remember this investigation did not just start yesterday. So my information is that it's been going on for almost 1 year. So the question is, why didn't the Americans use the same procedures that they used to arrest somebody who is allegedly to have stolen cars? Why didn't they use that same process? This raises the question of whether the American agents or the authorities felt that, well, in this case, if they wanted to use the same process as they did with the alleged stolen cars, maybe they will not get the results that they desire. So let us wait. When he's out of this jurisdiction, into another jurisdiction where we think that country is friendly, or we think we have a treaty arrangement with them, we could pick him from there.
Okay.
So I think this is what has happened. But generally, I think it is a dent on our reputation as Ghanaians.
And that's where the questions are arising from. The fact that the status he holds as a member of parliament may have given him some immunity had the Americans or had the FBI tried to arrest or, get him in Ghana. So like you're indicating, probably, and it's all a conjecture at the moment, probably they must have waited, and when he stepped out of the jurisdiction into a country that is friendly, like you indicated, then they picked him from there. But can you help us understand what kinds of, now we cannot even call it a crime, but on what basis can the FBI be involved in such arrest when it comes to people from different jurisdictions?
You see, the Americans' jurisprudence is that sometimes when they think that you've committed an offense in the jurisdictions of the United States, because of the treaty provisions that they have with certain countries, they can invoke the provisions of those treaties to effect the arrest. Because remember, some of the laws that they have in America, they have extra territorial reach. It goes beyond the American territory. So they make this arrangement with the friendly countries, and then they sign various treaties so that when you commit, they allege that they suspect that that particular crime has been committed within the jurisdiction of America, they can invoke that treaty provisions so that they can arrest that person in another jurisdiction with whom they have this arrangement. But you see, when we are talking about immunity, others think that the moment you are a member of parliament, you have certain immunities. Yes, the immunities that you have, even within Ghana, are very limited. You read Article 117 of the Constitution. The immunity you have, it is when you are in parliament, or you are on your way to parliament, or you are coming from parliament. Any proceedings cannot be set on you, either civil or criminal. But that does not give you immunity against criminal activities. If a state suspects that you've engaged in certain activities which the state has defined as criminal, you can be arrested and then prosecuted. But Ghanaians should understand that the fact that you are a member of parliament does not give you immunity against criminal action.
Okay.
That's the first thing we have to understand. So when it comes to he be outside the jurisdiction of Ghana, then it becomes a little bit murky.
Okay.
If he's on a diplomatic passport, then other questions will arise. Because the moment you are traveling on a diplomatic passport, it means you are giving diplomatic immunity. Okay. But at the moment, we don't know whether he's traveling on a diplomatic passport or he's traveling on an ordinary passport. Even the immunity given under the diplomatic passport, you should be undertaking official government business.
Right.
If you are going on your private business, you are going to visit your girlfriend in Dubai, that diplomatic immunity, which is granted by virtue of the diplomatic passport that you hold, does not cover you because this is a private business. Okay. But at the moment, you don't know. We don't know whether he was traveling on a private business or he was going to do government business, and whether he was traveling on an ordinary passport or on a diplomatic passport. So at the moment, it's too early yet, and it's very messy.
Right.
And you see, he's just been arrested. We don't know the specific charges with which he's been charged. We don't know the charges prepared against him. We just know that he's been arrested. You see, this speculation about money laundering, these facts are not coming from the FBI. Neither are they coming from the government of the Netherlands. So we can only assume that he's been arrested. But the charges that have been prepared against him, we don't know yet. So we shouldn't be too early to run into any conclusions. And moreover, he's just been arrested as a suspect. In law, every person remains innocent until he is proven guilty by a court of law, or he himself admits his guilt. Until that pronouncement is made by a competent court of jurisdiction, he remains an innocent person.
Right. So maybe in concluding our conversation, we talked about the immunity that could be covering him, especially if he were traveling on the diplomatic passport, which we are unaware of at the moment. But beyond that, we know him as a sitting member of parliament. Are there any diplomatic or legal considerations that could come into play, considering the fact that he is, he holds a certain office when it comes to Ghana's political system?
Well, I've already mentioned it. Even in Ghana, the fact that he is a member of parliament does not give him immunity against criminal prosecution if he's suspected to have committed any crime. So that one, it doesn't come in. The fact that you're a member of parliament, if you are suspected of having committed a crime, you'll be taken through the same process like any other person. Okay. The only immunity you enjoy as a member of parliament is when you are speaking in parliament, all your statements, nobody can take you on for the statement made on the floor of parliament. Or when you are on your way to parliament, or when you are within parliament, or when you are getting out of parliament, no criminal or civil proceedings can be served on you. Okay. But that does not mean that you cannot be prosecuted if you are suspected or the state thinks that you've committed a certain act which the state has criminalized. So there's no immunity, absolute immunity for members of parliament. Okay. We must get it clear.
Yes. Can Ghana as a state do anything about this? What are the options available for maybe an institution like parliament or as a country? We know that we, as much as possible, as part of our foreign policy, we try to protect the interest of every Ghanaian everywhere. In this case, he being an MP, Parliament has acknowledged the fact that they have been made aware of his detention in the Netherlands. Is there an option available for them that they could use, probably to get further information or even get access to him?
Well, you see, the moment you arrest somebody, he has the right to contact a counsel of his choice. And then you have to prefer the charges against him. He has to know the reasons why you are holding him. You can't just hold him incommunicado. So you prefer the charges against him, give him access to his lawyers, and then they will take it from there. So I think foreign missions, especially the one in the Netherlands, The Hague, they have a legal department. First, they should request that they should be given access to him because he's a citizen of Ghana, even if he's not a member of parliament. He is a citizen of Ghana, and he's entitled to all the protections that Ghana government provides to its citizens. So they should reach out to the authorities holding him and arrange some consular services for him so that they would then know the grounds for which they are holding him. That's why our embassies are there. So they should get their acts together, locate where he is, and then try to get a lawyer for him to represent him. And then from after that, maybe some diplomatic engagement could be triggered to see whether they can arrange that. Well, if you, I don't know, they can arrange that. Okay, if we are charging him, well, we can arrange to have him tried in Ghana. But you see, before you do that, the crime for which he's being charged, it should also be a crime in Ghana. If you are asking that, it should be brought to Ghana for trial. Right. But remember, there's a precedent. You know the former Nkranza North MP. Yes.
Richard Annan.
He was also arrested, charged, and then he was sentenced in the United States of America.
Right.
So there's a precedent. So let's wait and see how it's going to play out. But first and foremost, our mission in The Hague should make the necessary arrangement to have access to him and then even engage a lawyer for him so that we'll know why they are holding him and why they are detaining him. Because you cannot just pick out somebody, detain him, you don't give him access to his lawyers, he doesn't know the reason for which he's being held, that one is against international law. The fact that he's a suspect does not mean that he's already guilty. Only the court can prove his guilt or otherwise.
Right.
So our foreign missions should put to trigger some processes where they can have access to him and then provide him with a counsel.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Kweku Ananijinde. We are grateful that you made time to speak to us this evening.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too, sir. And he is a lecturer at the Gimpa Law School, giving us some legal perspectives as regards what the next line of action could be for the Member of Parliament who is currently in detention in the Netherlands. He is the MP for the Asante-Achem North constituency. We know that over the weekend he was arrested. As we speak, he is still in detention, and we are told that diplomatic efforts have begun to ensure that he's given the necessary legal assistance where he is. And we had agreed to speak to Ralph Opoku Eduse, MP for Bekwai, who is also one of the counsels for the detained MP. And Mr. Opoku Eduse had agreed to speak to us, but all efforts to get to him are becoming difficult. So if you are beside him, kindly nudge him to pick his calls, so at least we can get to find out what exactly he also knows about the arrest and detention of his client as it stands at this moment. This is 3FM 92.7. We've also been engaging the thoughts of Dr. Rashid Draman, who is the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. He's been sharing a thought or two about the arrest and detention of Ohene Kwame Frimpong.
I think the better
that.
I think I would advise them the earlier they act transparently and share the information, I think the better it is for us, because eventually he's in a jurisdiction where information is going to be made public, because this is not a country where they shield anybody, less so a foreign national. So eventually this is going to become public. So the earlier Parliament releases whatever they know, I think the better it is. In terms of what they can do, I think they can only cooperate.
Yeah.
They can't influence anything in that country. There's a recent example, a sitting senator from Nigeria, and a very influential figure in Nigerian politics was detained in England. He's currently in jail. There was nothing that the country could do. There was nothing that the Parliament of Nigeria could do. Because once there's a criminal offense and it's happening, in a jurisdiction that is outside where the Member of Parliament sits, then I guess the law runs its course up to the final end. And that was what happened in the case of that Nigerian senator. In this case, we don't know yet. It could be an immigration offense. It could be even an offense that he committed on a flight. So Parliament should do us a favor by making sure that all that they know is made public so that we can engage in a meaningful discussion, because I believe there might be much bigger systemic discussions that we need to engage in, and perhaps maybe this could trigger some reforms in terms of who qualifies to go to Parliament, what kind of screening is needed, and what kind of background checks are needed, and so on, for potential members of Parliament before they get into Parliament, and then things like this happen. Unfortunately, the only thing that can stop this speculation is having transparency in the release of information. Because you see, social media today is very, very uncontrollable. There's no law that can control the way people interpret and share information. You close here, another one opens. It's like an octopus. So I think in order to avoid the conviction of this person before he's even found guilty or not, and transparency is what will do it. And I call on Parliament to ensure that the image of the individual, the image of the institution, and the image of our country when it's not further dented. Because once there's no information, everybody is holding a different kind of opinion. The 33 million or so Ghanaians, everybody would have an opinion. And some would hold it, some would go viral. And that's the trial that you are talking about.
And that's the voice of Dr. Rashid Draman, who is the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. What do you make of this particular development? Do let us know in our comment section on Facebook and on YouTube, where this bulletin is currently streaming. You're listening to Hot Edition on 92.7. Stay with us. When we return, we'll give you updates on the nationwide withdrawal of services by the National Identification Authority workers. What exactly does that mean for us as a country? Details of all of that and more in a moment. Other stories now, and we do know that the minister in charge of education, that is Haruna Idrisu, has criticized the opposition NPP for what he says or what he has described as the extravagance or the exaggeration of the Bank of Ghana's 15.6 billion Ghana cedi loss, while accusing the party of failing to acknowledge the economic stability achieved under the administration. He said or made the remarks during the commissioning of a PET scan Swedish medical center facility in Accra.
There is ongoing debate now about the Bank of Ghana and losses of Bank of Ghana. The political opposition is at their best to find space to be critical of John Dramani Mahama. John Dramani Mahama, your special guest of honor, made a pledge to you that he would stabilize the Ghanaian economy. In all the debate that has gone on, including losses to the Bank of Ghana, I have not seen any of them argue that John Dramani Mahama has not stabilized the economy of Ghana. At least this inflation has been achieved from 54% to 23% through 2023-2024, to 5.4% 2025 to 3% John Dramani Mahama. There is stability in the economy, and therefore the loss of the Bank of Ghana as 15.6 million is the aspiration of John Dramani Mahama that he will see through a Bank of Ghana that achieves stability without losses. But at least momentarily, the opposition must accept a fact that the currency is stable, foreign reserves are high, and inflation is low.
Haruna Idrisu is a member of Parliament and also the minister in charge of education, and has just waded into that debate about the losses from the Bank of Ghana, some 15.6 billion Ghana cedis, which the Bank of Ghana has attributed, or at least there have been arguments that those can easily be tagged as operational losses. However, the opposition, the New Patriotic Party, are not buying that argument. They say that the amount is still too huge to just categorize as an operational loss, and for that matter, the Bank of Ghana, the Finance Ministry, and government for that matter must come clean and help people understand what exactly led to those losses. Let's bring you that story about the strike by members of the National Identification Authority. A strike action by workers of the National Identification Authority is set to intensify after close of work today, with staff expected to fully withdraw their services from Thursday. Union leaders have subsequently directed members across the country to comply with the industrial action and stay away from work beginning tomorrow. The action follows a partial strike that started on Monday, during which workers wore red armbands in protest over unresolved migration-related concerns. The workers say that the migration arrangements promised to them have still not been implemented nearly 24 months after assurances were given. So why are they choosing this period to embark on that strike? And we actually have a statement that was signed by the Assistant Divisional Secretary Godsway Ayivo Bismarck, and advising all members to, with immediate effect, stay away from work effective midnight tonight. Accordingly, no member of the NIA should resume or should return to work until further notice. All regional executives and members are also advised to stay away from work. So let's now engage Francis Bankfu Deme, who is the divisional chairman of the NIA. Mr. Bankfu Deme, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, and then thank you very much for the opportunity, and good evening to all the cherished listeners.
Right. Help us understand what has informed this escalation of the partial strike. We saw that some of your members were in red armbands, but it looks as though you've told them that from tomorrow they should not come to work. Why is that?
All right. So the red armband and red attire members were directed to do so effective Monday and Tuesday. And as of today, Wednesday, all members of the union were directed to stay away from work, effective today. So as I speak to you today, across the 276 operational offices across the country have all been shut down and no one is at work, including the head office.
And then the question will be, why? Why are you asking them to stay away from work?
Why? Our reason is simple. We have been battling with the implementation of our migration reports, migration whose event started way back in 2024, July 2024, after the approval of the scheme of service up until now. Regrettably, and I should say thankfully and sadly at the same time, because as of January this year, the reports were completed by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and duly submitted to the Minister of Finance for onward approval and a subsequent authorization to the Comptroller and Accountant General for payment of the appropriate compensations. Sadly, when it got to the Minister of Finance, as of now, January up to date, they have since not been able to approve it. All efforts to get the Minister of Finance to approve same has proved futile. And that is what has infuriated this level of agitation and anger. It is important to note that it is not just about migration onto a new scheme of service and salary structure, but as of November 2024, over 90%, in fact, all staff across the districts and regional offices were due for promotion as of November 2024. But because the promotion was merged with the ongoing migration exercise, because of the non-implementation of the migration reports, all staff who were due for promotion have technically been denied their legitimate promotion, which is a source of concern and disappointment to the workforce of this authority. And that is what has further also infuriated this level of agitation and anger. So it is not just about migration. We have been denied the appropriate placement onto the required salary structure. We have also been denied our promotion for over 22 months as of now. And this, we cannot take it. We have made all efforts humanly possible to ensure that this is completely avoidable. But regrettably, our efforts have not been complemented by the Minister of Finance that has the mandate to ensure that the reports have been duly approved and then implemented.
So, I get the impression that at least some marginal progress has been made. What other responses are you getting, and why do you think that those responses are not enough to keep you at work, but going on strike will probably give you better results?
All right, so when we sense that the reports were unduly delayed at the Ministry of Finance, we served a notice of our intention to embark on industrial action effective April 10th. But because of the extent of cooperation and mutual respect between us and the current Executive Secretary and his management, the assurance from the Minister of Finance has always been that by the close of the week, the reports would have been approved. So exercise patience a bit for us. The week elapses. By the next coming Monday and Tuesday, the reports would have been approved and implemented. It elapses. By the coming Friday, it will have been implemented. And my brother, we are not kids that every day assurances upon assurances upon assurances, yet bills are piling up. The economy is hard for people to manage. We don't eat and survive on assurances. And when we have found ourselves, we think that the assurances have become too many and empty without complementary actions to ensure that the reports have been approved and implemented. Our checks reveals that all technical processes have been completed, except just awaiting the approval of the sector minister, who has refused to do so up to date. And we can't take that from him. It is on record that we cannot phantom or assume or to think of any technical reason for which reason these reports have been held up to date. Because for the best of our knowledge, and what we do know, is that our migration reports and promotions were duly budgeted for in the 2026 financial year. And the same budget has been approved by Parliament and has begun its implementation. So what exactly is the rationale why the Minister of Finance, since January up to date, cannot simply approve a migration and promotion of staff reports that has been on their decks up to date? Is demotivating and disrespectful to us, well, to add.
We will see what the coming days hold for us. Thank you for speaking to us this evening.
Very well. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And that is Francis Bang-Fudeme, who is the divisional chairman, helping us find more information about why the NIA staff are going on strike. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. We'll be bringing you sports in a moment. But just by way of information, I want you to know that if you want to get education in the UK, you need to secure scholarship in the UK with the help of the help of BCIE. Dreaming of studying in the UK with a scholarship? Here's your chance. Join the BCIE, British Canadian International Education, and they are holding an event which would be of help to you, especially those who want to study in the UK. And what they are doing is that on these specific days that I'm going to be mentioning, you need to make a date, meet them there, and you get all the information you need regarding your interest in schooling in the UK. Join BCIE, British Canadian International Education Limited, on the 16th of May, which is just 3 days away from today, at 10 in the morning at BCIE office, which is located on the Osu Oxford Street behind the Snit Hospital, for an exclusive secure scholarship in UK event. Meet representatives and explore scholarship opportunities from leading UK universities, including Durham University, University of Dundee, Brunel University in London, University of East London, University of Sunderland, and the University of Lincoln. Get expert guidance on admission, scholarships, visa processing, and your pathway to international education. Remember, the day is the 16th of May, the time is 10 a.m., and the venue is the BCIE office on the Osu Oxford Street behind the SNIT Hospital. If you want further information, you can call them or contact them on 054 012 4745 or 054 012 6285. Seats are limited, so don't miss this opportunity to secure your future in the UK. And on the back of that, we enter into the world of sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and DBB United FC have made history by securing their first ever promotion to the Ghana Premier League after a dominant 3-1 win over Tamale City at the Accra Sports Stadium. My colleague Mutala Yakubu was at the game and filed this report.
In the Division 1 playoff, DBB United have beaten Tamale City by 3-1 to secure qualification to the 2026-27 Ghana Premier League. This will be their debut in the Ghana Premier League, as they've never played in the Ghana Premier League before. Two other teams have already secured qualification, Port City and of course Ashanti Gold 0-4. This game was a very, very interesting one at the Accra Sports Stadium. And guess what? It was Tamale City that opened the scoring, but they came in very strongly with their striker, Kojo Entry, who had already scored 13 goals in the Division 1 League, scoring a hat-trick to ensure that they book qualification. So next year or next season, the 2026-27 Ghana Premier League would have DBB United, who are based in the Bono region at Spain.
Well, from football, let's now cross over to the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, where the African Senior Championships is currently ongoing, and Billy Shen is currently joining us live here on Hot Edition. Bill, some good news for Team Ghana, as we're hearing that Rashid Saminu and Joe Paul will be in the final of the 100 meters final later tonight. Bill, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was saying that we're hearing some good news that Rashid Saminu and then Joe Paul would be in the final of the 100 meters tonight. What's been the story of the day for Ghana so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's very good news to see Rashid Saminu and also Joseph Olamwa reach the final of the 100 meters. The unfortunate news is that Yvonne Britain wasn't able to make the podium in the 100-meter hurdle, but it's an opportunity for Ghana to possibly make the podium. We've not seen Ghana actually make the podium too far since the competition started, and tonight might just be that night where we finally see Ghana earn some medals with the likes of Abdul Rashid Saminu and Joseph Paul Amwa going strong in the semi-finals, finishing first in their respective teams and then making it to the final.
All right, thank you very much, Billy Shan, for joining us here on Hot Edition. You can get updates of the men's 100-meter final, which would have two Ghanaians in there, Rashid Saminu and then Joe Paul Amwa, on social media at 3 Sports GH. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and I will be back again same time to bring you Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7 tomorrow.